press releases, their test side, but you just want the facts. And that's why you come to me. I give you the statistics without spin. Out of 116 million working age Nigerians, 35.5 million are employed full-time. That's 30%. I give you the context. I give you the history. I fight fake news with facts.
Kayode. No, Kayode, I will let you talk. Kayode, I will let you talk if you let me talk. Kayode.
That's why more and more Lagosians are tuning in.
5,720,000.
970,000 of you. They know that if you give me your afternoon, I will give you hard facts.
Well done, Sandra, on all you do, going beyond the headlines and focusing on the facts.
I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
First hard fact of the day, 1,400 new COVID confirmations yesterday. So like I always say, take all the precautions that you can. Limit your movement outside. Wear a mask like I'm currently doing if you're watching us live on Facebook. Nigeria Info 99.3. Give gap. Wash your hands. Sanitize your hands. It's not a conspiracy. This thing is killing real people. It's hospitalizing real people. And the after effects of this virus are immense. People recover after they've been discharged from the hospitals. They're still dealing with the side effects for a long, long time. In fact, on Monday, you and I will have a conversation about those who have had it, how the recovery is going, how the treatment went, etc., etc. Monday, keep a date with me from 5 p.m. That's when we'll have that conversation, right? And to be on the safe side, stick with me on Hard Facts. This is where you come for your immunization against disinformation. Today, it's the Big Three Global Edition. Speaking of immunization, let's talk about the race to distribute the COVID vaccines. Then let's talk about how Brexit is already affecting the UK's economy and commerce. And then let's talk about online amateur stock traders taking on Wall Street. After that, as usual for Friday, we'll bring you Public Square with Agoro Obo, and then we'll wrap up the show with music and moments with Ifeanyi and Sam. Of course, there's news updates coming your way at the top of every hour, but let's bring you today's Big Three Global Edition.
The Big Three Global Edition on Hard Facts.
How soon can most of humanity get the COVID vaccine? Is Brexit showing teething problems or fatal flaws? And what is happening to Wall Street? This is Big Three Global Edition. Let's get into the stories. As you know, every Friday, we let Nigeria rest. We try to let Nigeria rest. And we take a look at the biggest stories from other parts of the world. Sometimes, though, you find that the biggest stories in the world are still Nigerian stories, or they also affect Nigeria. But our first story is a global look at COVID-19 and the race to vaccinate the world. These new strains, they're traveling around the world pretty quickly. The USA just announced its first ever case of the strain that was first found in South Africa. That same strain has also been sweeping through some African countries like Malawi. Now, during the first wave last year, Malawi was barely hit. And the relatively few cases that it had were mostly mild to moderate. But now the infection rates are higher, and so is the percentage of serious to severe cases. Deaths are up as well in Malawi. These new strains are much tougher. But the good news is, so far, most of the vaccines appear to be doing well against most of the strains. The one strain that seems to give the vaccine a tough time is, again, the one that was first seen in South Africa. And speaking of Africa, really, we've gotten commitments for almost 1 billion doses. COVAX has committed to supplying 600 million doses. And now the African Union has raised money among its members to buy an additional 300 million. So 900 million doses. Enough for about 450 million Africans. That's about 1/3 of us. To put that in context, we're going to need a bit more than double of that to achieve herd immunity. And to put that in more context, these 900 million doses have not arrived yet. In fact, so far, Africa has only seen about 20,000 vaccines. Meanwhile, while African countries deal with vaccine shortage, some countries in other places have a surplus. Cyril Ramaphosa had something to say about it. He's the president of South Africa and he's also the chairperson of the African Union. And he said, quote, "The rich countries of the world went out and acquired large doses of vaccines from the manufacturers and developers of these vaccines. Some countries went even beyond and acquired up to 4 times what their populations need," end quote. In fact, the Global Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, estimates that 800 million doses of the vaccine are in countries that won't need them because they have a surplus. Some African leaders and top people in international development are calling they're calling it vaccine nationalism. They're also calling it hoarding. But I've heard other commentators who have said, nobody forced Africa not to be ready to buy the vaccine. Nobody forced you to not be ready. And I wonder what you think. Now, let me tell you what Antonio Guterres says. He's the UN Secretary General. And he has called vaccine distribution a global emergency. And he's warning the rich nations that are hoarding the vaccine that it will harm them, even if they vaccinate all their people. Because new strains of COVID are bound to appear. These new strains are caused by mutations. The longer COVID remains in the wild, infecting people, the more mutations and new strains will appear. And eventually, according to Guterres, strains will appear that can beat this set of vaccines. So if the rich nations want to preserve the power of their vaccines, they have to share them with the world so that COVID stops mutating. Now, do you think that's going to happen? Do you think the rich nations will share? Do you think that richer nations who have managed to stockpile or order a vaccine surplus will sell or give it to other people? Or do you think they're just going to hold on to their stash? And what do you think about Africa managing to order slightly less than 1 billion doses so far? Just enough to vaccinate 1/3 of the population on the continent. 0700-993-993-993 0700-993-993-993. Share your thoughts with me via WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. What do you think about African nations saying to richer nations that this vaccine that you are holding, there is God? Okay, fine, they didn't say that, but you know what I mean. Do you think that, it matters one way or the other what richer nations do with their money? Is it their fault that nobody in Africa thought vaccines were things that they should budget for or that they should start acquiring? Do you think the richer nations who have managed to stockpile or order a surplus will sell or give it to others? Or do you think, maybe we'll save our stash? We don't know how these mutations are going to hit. And we're hoping that these things will continue to be effective against the mutations. So we're going to wait. We've got Michael in Ikeja on the line. Hello, Michael. Thank you for calling us.
Should I go ahead? Good afternoon.
You're talking to Sandra now. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sandra, hi.
Hi.
The African heads of state should just bury themselves in shame.
Okay.
It's very unfortunate that when these other richer countries we are making effort to come up with these vaccines, we are and now we are complaining. So you can't blame them for doing what they are doing. That's just my contribution. Thank you.
Okay, Michael, thank you for calling. You can't blame them for doing what they're doing. Hi, their heads in shame, Michael says. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. You can, of course, tweet at us at Nigeria Info FM and share your thoughts via Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. But the studio number is 0700-993-993 0700-993-993. Do you think we're going to get to the point where richer countries who have stockpiled or who have ordered too much, do you think we'll get to the point where they will sell or they will give it to others? Do you agree with the UN Secretary General, who says that vaccine distribution is a global emergency, and if rich nations hoard, it's not going to protect them because the vaccines are mutating. Godwin is in Orilla today. Hello, Godwin.
Hello?
How you doing, Godwin?
Is that Sandra?
Yes, this is Sandra. Go ahead.
Please, what I'm talking about is this COVID-19. These people are eating our money with it.
Which people are eating your money with it?
This federal government.
But we're not talking about the federal government. We're talking about vaccines at the moment. And we're talking about what other people are doing about it.
I am talking in general.
Okay.
This COVID-19 is not real, please. Let them stop disturbing Africans.
COVID-19 is not real.
It's not real.
Thank you for calling. 0700-993-993-993. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Hello, thank you for calling.
Yeah, hello. How you doing?
I'm good. What's your name?
My name is Femi, calling from on the road.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, from the beginning of this, when the race to the first person who was going to get a vaccine for this COVID-19, right? I started asking myself some basic questions. We flout Africa as the cradle of civilization. Egypt with a whole lot of, if you go through the history books, you'll find that a whole lot of medical discoveries were done in Africa. Sandra, there is not a single African country, not one, that has found a vaccine to COVID. One. With all the way at the bow that we have, with all the herbs, not a single cure. And then you expect nations that have invested billions and trillions of dollars in not just their healthcare systems, in research, just to start handing us things every single time. We go to them for beans, we go to them for rice. We, as a continent, we are not even food sufficient. Food that we have here, land is so much here. Now, for their own knowledge, make them bill us. Bill us where? Is it not in the same country that a governor's wife went to US and was floating on the social media that she has gotten a COVID vaccine? What kind of mentality is that, for goodness sake? And then we need Bill Gates to come and tell us to invest in our healthcare that we have not seen before they gave back to me. The countries that have it, they should buy more for themselves. They have invested over the years. They've told us to invest. What have we done with our money? We are stealing it and keeping it.
Femi, be coming down. Be coming down, Femi. Be coming down.
Sandra, thank you, Jared.
Be coming down. Be coming down. Joe, be coming down. Kevin is through. Larry, hello.
Yes, Sandra.
How you doing?
Yes, to go be the glory.
Welcome. Go ahead.
I don't see any seriousness in us as a continent, especially this part that I live in.
Okay.
We're not a serious people. When this issue was up, we told those that were in power, we have been telling them before now, what is the quality of our healthcare system? They were listening to us from the deaf side of their ears. When this virus started initially, and when it started coming out, we started acting as usual, like a beggarly nation, looking for people, other countries that will help us with vaccines. Who does that at this moment? Everybody's interested in his own country. Look at Boris Johnson, what he does every morning. Look at Joe Biden. They are all interested to get the people vaccinated. We lack leadership. I don't know the last time that the president of the country spoke to his people about this deadly virus and, show concern. We don't. What we do is we like to let people to gather in the name of getting ready started because your seat should not be blocked. We just act irresponsibly and reckless. And we're talking about some people are... We are in for it. I'm telling you, because at the end of the day, it all falls ahead to leadership. We don't have that leadership. When you see countries that have leadership, now. You don't need someone to say, look at Boris Johnson. I watch him every time on Sky News. The man, I don't think that man has this glitch. I beg, Jerry. Thank you.
Kevin, thank you for calling. The British do not have kind things to say about Boris Johnson. In fact, he's in our second story on today's Big Three Global Edition. But we'll get to that in a bit. I want to hear more of your thoughts on this COVID vaccine matter, because these new strains are traveling around very quickly. The USA announced their first ever case of the strain that was found in South Africa first. That same strain has been sweeping through some African countries like Malawi. I told you earlier on that during the first wave, Malawi was barely hit. People had very mild, very moderate cases of the virus. But what we're hearing is that these vaccines are doing well against most of the strains. The only strain that is giving them wahala is the one that was first seen in South Africa. And I told you as well that we have gotten commitment for almost 1 billion doses of the vaccine. COVAX has committed to supplying 600 million doses. And the African Union has raised money amongst its members to buy an additional 300 million. So we've got 900 million doses, but that 900 million doses is enough for 450 million Africans. It's not nearly enough. So far, Africa has only seen about 20,000 vaccines. So it's causing a lot of the experts to worry about what will happen with the rest of the world if Africa doesn't get the vaccines that it needs. We've got Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa and the chairperson of the African Union, saying that the rich countries of the world went out and acquired large doses of vaccines from the manufacturers and the developers of these vaccines. And he said that some countries even went beyond and acquired up to 4 times what their populations need. Gavi estimates that 800 million doses of the vaccines are in countries that will not need them because they have a surplus. And now you have African leaders and people in development who are calling it vaccine nationalism and hoarding. But then you have those like Femi who have said, nobody forced people to not be ready to buy the vaccine. I wonder what you think. Do you think that we could get to a place where richer countries who have managed to stockpile a vaccine or who have a vaccine surplus will sell it or give it to other people who don't have at all? Or do you think they're going to hold on to their stash? Because, like I said, the virus continues to mutate. New strains of COVID are bound to appear. These strains are caused by mutations. The longer COVID remains in the wild, infecting people, the more mutations and new strains will appear. So it could either make them hoard their vaccines some more or give it out to poor people like us so that will not reinfect them with a new strain because we've lived with the virus too long. What do you think about Africa managing to order slightly less than 1 billion doses so far? 1 billion is less than 1/3 of what the continent will need. 0700-993-993-993. By the way, on Tuesday at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have Dr. Onyema Obonna on the show. He's one of the doctors who worked on one of the vaccines. He's one of the amazing minds, Nigerian-American, who worked on one of the vaccines. And he'll be joining us on Tuesday at 5 to talk about the vaccines, talk to you about why it's important for you to get them once they're available in Nigeria. Maxwell is in Badagry. Hello, Maxwell. Thank you for calling us.
Yeah, thank you very much, my sister. So we are talking about how we can be able to curtail the issue of COVID-19 in Nigeria. And our government is telling us to go and do the registration of registration of a team.
That's not what we're talking about, actually. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about vaccines, the race to vaccinate the world.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing because, like all those rich countries that have been able to purchase even more than what they require, it's their money. They got the money and they have right to do whatever they need to do with their own money. So if African nations could not be able to raise money to be able to buy they're on their own. Because we all know that as far as this world is concerned, the white people, they're always on top and they will always be on top because our leaders here in Africa are now hating their people. So the people that want to hate their people, they can go on and do it. If even in Africa up to now, we cannot be able to develop a vaccine in the whole continent of Africa, whereby in Africa we have a very fertile environment to be able to develop our own vaccine. So what are we saying?
It's actually not accurate to say that we cannot develop our vaccine. We can. We had some people who tried to do it. They just didn't have the funding. The governments did not think it was important to fund those investigations to develop a vaccine. So we can. We have what it takes to. We just didn't have money.
Here in Africa, we have what the union we call African Union. Look, if the individual countries cannot be able to do that, why not the African Union comes together, put heads together to be able to develop a vaccine that can be able to help us here in Africa, instead of going outside the world to be able to purchase this vaccine. So the African leaders, we are not helping ourselves here. That is why everything we get it all wrong. At the end of the day, the white country, the white men, they will always be on top, because we are not thinking on what we can do on our own side to be able to help ourselves. That's my submission.
Maxwell, thank you so much for calling to make your submission. By the way, I was reading a headline yesterday night, I think. There's another vaccine, and this one can survive in 2 to 8 degree temperature. So that means it can stay in our regular fridges. So I'm very happy about that particular vaccine. I'm hoping that it does get to the final stages and that it is found to be very effective, because that could be very helpful with temperate and infrastructure deficit or deficient countries like Africa. We've got a message here that says there simply isn't enough public funding going into healthcare, education, or research and development in Africa. Thank you very much, Tonya, for sending that message to us via WhatsApp. Also on WhatsApp, yes, you can send us messages, please. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Adeboye Tunji from Matogun Excessive says, buying and stocking of the vaccine tells us how leaders have the interests of their citizens at heart. What are our leaders doing? They're making laws on face masks. What a funny country we are in. But that's also proof that your leaders have your interest at heart. If they're making laws about face masks, it also says that they care about you and they care about your health. Because my people say, if you don't know how to pound in the mortar, pound on the ground. Now where your hand reach, now you go hang your coat. No be so. So if they cannot afford vaccines, they can afford things that can help you to curb the spread of the virus. And one of the things that can help with curbing the spread of the virus is wearing your mask. So can you really say that the government doesn't care about you because they're forcing you to wear a mask? I've got another message here from Osi. He says African leaders are reluctant about getting enough vaccines because they still have huge doubt inside their mind about the possibility of the virus attacking us. They truly don't believe there is COVID-19. All these info they're passing around on the coronavirus is just make-believe. OC, okay. Well, I've heard a number of them say they believe in the virus. You have Lagos making plans to buy vaccines directly from the manufacturers, or your state is also making the same plans. So I don't know these African leaders you speak of. It's the South African president telling the richer nations to please give us vaccines. Stop hoarding in the mean. We've got a message here from Emmanuel in Adrigbongo in Mowe. He says the only way African countries can solve problems such as this is when they start believing and investing in their own ability to experiment and make research. But no be teeth. You have to fund that, and we don't fund that. Simple. Another person says, this COVID-19 is a conspiracy that... Okay, all right then. Thank you very much for your message. Hello, Sandra. The money looted by this top men would have vaccinated all Nigerians. The NDDC MD movie, the Abdul Rashid Mena movie, the movie called Off the Mic, the movie called It's Okay. I beg, they should help us. Heaven helps those that help themselves. Ali sent that message from Ijora. We've got another one here from Jeff in Oregon. Jeff says, I agree that COVID-19 is a global emergency and there will be no need to hoard the vaccine. However, Nigeria must do her best in protecting her citizens against the virus. We must accept the free ones and buy where necessary. The citizens too must do their part in observing the laid down procedures to avoid the virus at all costs. Wear a nose mask, social distancing, stay at home if you need to go nowhere. Jeff from Oregon, thank you very much for your message. We'll take one final call and then we'll move on to our second story. The number to call is 0700-993-993-993. If you just joined the show, our first story on today's Big 3 Global Edition is the race to vaccinate the world. I told you that African countries are dealing with vaccine shortage while some other countries are dealing with vaccine surplus. Sade, my lover, is on the show today. Hi, Sade. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks. Hi, Sandra. How's it going?
I'm good. Welcome.
Thank you. So you see, this vaccine issue that we have going on right now, it's a sad thing. Well, first question I have for you: the vaccine you read about that is it the Johnson & Johnson one? Because that's one I'm hoping Nigeria gets because it's only one dose.
Okay.
I was hoping that, I'm not sure if that's the one you read about. I'm hoping that's the one we get.
Which one is that? Which one is that? Which one did he say? I didn't quite catch that.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Oh, no, that's not the one I was talking about.
It's only one dose, and I think they also have a good temperature thing on it.
Okay.
I'm rooting that if we get any vaccine, we should get that one, solve our problem. So the 900 can get to 900 people instead of 450. You see how that works for us?
Yeah, that could be great. And there are more vaccines in the works, to be honest. And who knows? The Johnson & Johnson one is one dose as well. But I don't know about the other one I was reading about. And the Johnson & Johnson one is 85% effective. So who knows? I do hope they produce more. That is one dose. So yeah, 900 million can be 900 million. You're right.
Yes, and it really be good for us. And back to my family was talking. I really felt what he was saying.
Yeah.
That we sort of, it's like our people, the government were like, they know there's COVID coming, but really, did we really put any effort? I mean, I wasn't surprised because we barely have time to do anything for our health sector. So I'm not surprised that now we are all like, oh, how are we going to get, vaccinated? But you know what I really want to say, Sandra?
What?
That I hope the government, I said yesterday that sensitization has been a problem for us because people that say there's no COVID, right, and they don't want to act right.
Yeah.
If they think about the fact that this mutation is not good for anybody.
Yeah.
And the longer we all act ignorant, the longer it is for the whole world, us inclusive, because we will just keep adapting, and there's more variant. Look at the funny part of it. Yeah. The one from South Africa is the most stubborn one. Of course, it's the African variant that will be the most stubborn. Because the way we behave. And I really hope the national orientation agency really step up and really sensitize people and really talk about it where they understand that. Even if you don't care about it for yourself, even if you think, oh, I don't travel. But the world is a global place, and we all need to do our part in making this coronavirus go away.
Yeah.
Shadi,
thank you very much for calling. I love when she calls the show. And it's important what she said there, because one of the listeners got in touch with me. He's a driver somewhere. And he told me how another domestic staff that they brought into the family came into the family with COVID-19. And so put the rest of the family members at risk. So they've been in the house, taking all the precautions that they needed to take, wearing their masks, washing their hands, being very, very careful. And so they had to get a new domestic staff. And when they got their new domestic staff, she had to go and get tested. And when she went to get tested, she was positive for COVID-19. So that's for the people who often say, oh, na big man disease, or for people where they travel. No, it's like Sade said, it's a global village. We're all mixing up. We're all interacting with each other. And so that means that if I get something and I interact with the Uber driver who interacts with the woman in the market or the man he buys suya from, the virus is traveling like that. So we all have to do all we can to protect each other. Like, I swear to God, man. For our second story, 1 month into Brexit and things are looking a bit rocky for the UK. It turns out that ending free trade with your biggest trade partner may cause some domestic disruption. 43% of the UK's exports go to the EU, and 52% of the UK's imports come from the EU. So about half of all goods and servicing going into or coming out of the UK is coming out of or going into the UK. And now, ever since New Year's Day, there's a big checkpoint on that trade. UK exporters are having serious difficulties getting their goods into Europe. And now, under the Brexit deal, they don't have to pay a tariff on goods. However, the goods now have to go through customs, unlike before. And suddenly there are long delays and processing fees. Already UK companies are complaining that they're losing businesses. Most fresh produce like foods and vegetables cannot move from the UK to the EU or in the other direction without spoiling. British fishermen are complaining because their biggest market is gone. Manufacturers are gone too. Manufacturers are complaining as well. Now, as bad as it is for goods, it's even worse for services. UK exports are actually mostly services, not goods. And for services, there is a tariff with the EU now. That's why a lot of analysts said that they were perplexed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson praising this deal, considering how it did not protect UK services. Suddenly, a UK-based lawyer or accountant or investment banker cannot do business in the EU. Her qualifications are no longer recognized. And that's very bad news for the UK's financial services sector. Because before Brexit, the City of London was the EU's main supplier of financial services. But now, it may no longer be able to serve Europe efficiently and cheaply from across a hard border. And so Europe is looking for alternatives like Milan and Frankfurt. And London is now worried that the best and brightest financial minds may leave. We're already seeing the effects all of yesterday. The IMF is projecting that the UK's GDP will fall this quarter. And then there's the question of unity. The U in the UK stands for united. But some analysts are saying that may soon be over, thanks to Brexit. Already Northern Ireland is economically separate now. Even though they are a part of the UK, they remained in the EU customs union as part of the Brexit deal. That's because of that peace deal agreement that we talk about all the time. The one that mandates that there can be no border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. But now, this means that the hard border is between Northern Ireland and the UK. And so now UK goods cannot enter Northern Ireland. And then there's Scotland. Scotland wants to leave the UK and rejoin the EU. They actually had a referendum a couple of years before Brexit. They only chose to stay because of staying in the EU. But now that staying in the UK doesn't keep them in Brexit, a lot of Scottish people want out. They don't want to be a part of the United Kingdom anymore. They are going to have an election in May, and the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has said that if her party wins, she's going to call for another independence referendum. So that's our second story. How do you see this Brexit matter 1 month in? Prime Minister Boris Johnson has called these challenges teething problems. Do you think it's, do you agree with him? Or do you believe that these are signs of a more serious, more permanent flaw? 0700-993-993-993 0700-993-993. You can still talk about the COVID vaccines when you call. That was our first story on today's Big 3 Global Edition. The number again is 0700-993-993. 993. And yes, there's WhatsApp available for you. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Good afternoon, Sandra. African country leaders should be ashamed of themselves. By now, African countries should have gotten a vaccine. But corruption, now we get A1. They're now waiting for European vaccines that will take a lot of time before getting here. That's a message from Ademola from Alausa. Ademola, thank you for your message. We've got Motanda on the line. Hello, Motanda.
Yeah, hello, good evening or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you, a million. I'm not going to talk about Brexit. I'm from Africa, so I want to talk about what is affecting Africa, which is Brexit.
All right.
Sandra, the problem with we Nigerians in Africa is the fact that we neglected our own products and value anything that comes from the West.
Okay.
Ask me how. Sandra, growing up as a little child in Cross River State, as an orphan, with the people which I grew up together with, I used to witness where hospital reject some certain patients, and they bring them to my grandpa, and this man is the one healing them. Imagine people that were rejected from the hospital. I witnessed with my naked eyes. And I'm not going to mention a particular sickness or whatever, but I discovered that this thing chop their breast, almost like chop it off, and they bring them. This man is using root and leaf and apply on that breast, and at the end of the day, big maggot comes out, and the breast got healed. They're not going to amputate it, and they're not going to cut the breast off anymore. But in today's generation, those things are no longer existing anymore. Nobody look towards that angle. Now, the COVID-19 issues, I want to go straight to the point, so I'm not going to take much time. Sandra, I contacted COVID-19 the earlier when the thing comes out, and I called MDDC. Nobody picks my call. And I almost died, if not God. But I followed the procedure, which somebody sent to me, garlic and whatever. I keep taking the tea, and the other one, I don't want to call the name, so I'm not going to do advice for free. And I got healed. After that, Sandra, as I'm talking to you last month, I contacted COVID again with the protection. That is why when you say face mask or nose mask, it's not really about face mask. This is where the problem is coming from. Beverages. A bookie that is selling oranges on the street. They are the one peeling the orange and we buying it. And once you buy it, that's where we get the COVID from. Those guys that are selling, what you call it, cucumber and other amenities on the roadside, should I call the poor ones, as we buying them, that is when this problem is coming from. Now, after a while, I began to fall sick. Every day, pushia, my lungs is paining me heavily. Till down to my intestines, I fall sick. I call NDDC. NDDC refused to pick my call. And there was no one in the house. So call them another shot. I now go back. I apply the same method. Because before I got on, I started stealing blood. And I fall sick heavily on the ground. I did not get up again. I applied the same method which I did before. The same garlic, the same glove. I cook as tea and add little sulfuric acid. I started taking it with the other vitamin, whatever. I don't want to mention. I said before I got on, I started receiving myself, my strength. The dizziness started going. The pishia every day. That was my lungs were paining me. The blood is not coming out again. I'm not coughing again. The only thing that I observe after this thing is gone, I discovered that I have weak erection. My AK-47 is not active as usually. That is the effect of COVID-19. I am telling you based on my experience. I'm not saying I'm a researcher or whatever. Now, Sandra, I call your station when Chukwu or something like that was presenting program. I try to let the world know that if we Africans look inward, we're going to discover the solution to this problem. Chukwu did not even allow me to say, bounce me down. So we cannot allow you to come on air and tell us whatever. But see there, the same federal government is looking inward to see how they can discover a COVID-19 solution. Let me use this opportunity to tell the world, until Africa comes down, come back, and value their own, that is the only way that this continent can come back to its reality. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Motanda, thank you very much for calling us. You see, it's not like nobody wants to look inwards. It's just that if you're going to prescribe something and say, that thing is a cure, if you're going to call something a cure or a treatment, that thing has to undergo testing and be retested again and again and again. Because you have to know how a particular medication works when pregnant women take it, how it works when children take it, how it works when old people take it, what medicines are you not supposed to take it with. That's the problem with local medication. And so they need to undergo testing again and again to find out all of those things, make sure that they're even safe for consumption. Nobody is saying that African medication doesn't work. We're just saying, put it to test. It's the same way that they say that this DBA they work, Okay, put the DBA to test on a large scale. Because science is science. If you say 1 + 1 = 2, whenever they wake anybody up on the other side of the world, they're also going to say 1 + 1 = 2. That's how this is supposed to work. That's how these things work. You have China and India who have developed vaccines. They did it by adopting global standards and methods. They did not say in the name of looking inwards that they're not going to do things the standard way. And our culture is very similar to that of the Indians or the Chinese. So if we're going to do this, let's do it right. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. That's why whenever you call and you want to give away all these your remedies, people try to shut you down because what you're giving out hasn't been scientifically tested. And if it has not been scientifically tested, it's irresponsible for any presenter with a platform as huge as Nigeria Info to let you share it on air. We'll take a quick break, hear from our sponsors for the final story, and then bring you our final story on today's Big 3 Global Edition.
Need to save for a new car, house rent, or your next vacation? Or be financially ready to get yourself a COVID vaccine next year? Let Zimvest Aspire keep you in check. Need low-risk investment option with attractive rates? Zimvest High Yields is your best bet. Zcrest Investment Managers. Zimvest is a SEC-licensed asset management company. At Zimvest,
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Let Zimvest Aspire keep you in check.
On in Wall Street between large investors like hedge funds and small private investors who are working together using Reddit. Reddit is a social media platform. So let me tell you what's happening. These small investors, just regular people like you and I, have been telling each other to buy shares in GameSpot. GameSpot is a chain of stores that sells games. Games like regular, games, toys. But the big hedge funds have mostly been thinking that GameSpot's stock is doomed. So they've been doing something to it called shorting. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but think of shorting a stock like making a bet that the price will go. Think of it like making a bet that the price will go down by a certain date. If it goes down, you get money. If it goes up, you lose money. So on Reddit, these day traders have been getting angry with the hedge funds. They accuse them of manipulating GameSpot stock to go down. And so in revenge, they all decided to start buying stock to drive the price up. And that caused the hedge funds to panic. Because remember that they bet their own money that the price would go down. So they started selling their positions at a loss. Hedge funds have lost tens of hundreds of millions in value over the last few days, while some day traders have gone from almost nothing to being multi-billionaires. So that's our third story. And here to talk about it and give us some more expert insights is the acting chief investment officer at Zimvest, Oluwatosin Ayamfulu. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome for having me.
Good afternoon. Now, it got really rough for hedge funds. One of them in particular, Melvin Capital, they actually got into distress and they had to borrow money. What exactly happened here?
I think you in your introduction, you explained it in the most simplest of terms. The hedge fund managers took a position on GameStop, expecting that, the model of the company is one that is outdated, like how video rental stores, were kicked out by services like Netflix, right? So they expected that GameStop being an in-store, their model is they have physical stores where people then go and buy these games, and or they can come and rent the games as well. That their model is one that is outdated, and that they would eventually, lose all their market share and revenue, which, on the face of it is actually a fair view if you look at, GameStop's model. But I think what they now did was, when they took that view against GameStop, what they did is they now went to the market and, started shorting shares of GameStop. So they started selling shares of GameStop. What then now happened on the other side is, we're reading about GameStop in the news over the past 2-3 days, and a lot of different things are happening, and, it's just showing light to different aspects of the global economy. One of it being the fact that there seems to be a lot of distrust. It seems to be a lot of distrust, right? Against the, the institution, or what, the things that are structures are already put in place by the regular guy, right? So what happened is, on Reddit, the Wall Street Bets subreddit is like a forum where people give their views on stocks that they think are either undervalued and they think it's a good buy. One of the users, Deep F Value, because his name is it has some profanity in it. Deep F Value, highlighted that GameStop, even though they were not making money, they're not projected to make any money in 2023. They have cash, right? So they're liquid, so they still have the ability to pay off their debts and, try to do business. More so, they're trying to revamp their business. They made a few appointments to their board recently, I think about 2 months ago, right? So he took a positive view on GameStop and put it in the subreddit. As far back as a year ago, at this point, the stock was trading at $2 per share, right? The shorters have already, maybe sold it at maybe like $9 per share. It's down $2 per share. They thought they were what we call in the money. We thought they were good, right? Deep Value goes and says it's the other way. I think we should buy it. The first time he said it, nobody really listened to it. But after a while,
somehow.
Yeah, somehow. And the thing about these forums is, they're regular guys.
Yeah.
Everybody on the forum are regular guys. They don't know about fundamental analysis or anything like that.
And that's where people like you come in, Tosin. A lot of people want to make wise investments, but when they see events like what happened on Wall Street this week, they start to worry about whether they know enough to do it. So tell me about Zimvest. Tell me what Zimvest does for people like me who want to invest, and tell me about the kind of things you invest in.
Yes, thank you. So the main, like you said, people are worried about if they have enough knowledge. And to be frank, it's not something that, we can all say we are, fully knowledgeable about. But, the idea is, it's like, I'll give you an example. Medicine. You don't go Googling your symptoms and then Googling the medication you should take, and then you go to buy it and then you give yourself an injection. You assume that those who study these things and are professionals in these things should be able to help you to bring your to give you wholeness in your health. And that is what like an approach, a lot of us don't have towards our wealth, our own money. What we do at Zimvest is we're an asset management firm. And this is what we do, helping individuals, retail customers, and even corporate customers to achieve their financial gain goals, by helping them make smart investments with their money. most of these things, when we see them, they're a bit sensational when we see them in the news. But you also remember that it's somebody that bought the GameStop shares at $347 per share, and then when it went to $253, he was looking like what's going to happen. These things are not easy to predict, but what investment management does for you is that you allow your funds, you keep your funds with a licensed professional who then makes it his job to make sure that your funds are invested in assets that are generally safe, that more or less guarantee you a minimum return, and try as much as possible to help you expand and grow your wealth. We have what we do in Zenvest, we try to leverage a lot on technology, right? Because that's what we've seen is happening in this century, that we're removing boundaries between things with the use of technology, and so fintech is a growing sector, and then we are taking advantage of that in allowing people to have direct access to even the assets that they are looking for. So you no longer have to walk into an office and then speak to someone and say, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking to gain, or this is what I'm looking to save towards. You can do all of that via our website or a mobile app, which we have in the works.
What's your website address? Because we're out of time.
Oh, okay. Our website is www.zimvest.ng.
Now, when Tosin comes back on air next week, he's going to talk to us about who can become an investor, who exactly can work with the wealth managers at Zimvest. How much money do you have to be able to work with the guys at Zimvest? That's next week when he comes back on the show to talk to us about this. Is there a number that people can call if they have further questions?
Yes, we do have a number.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back from that break, he'll tell us what that number is. Lagos, don't go away.
Need to save for a new car, house rent, or your next vacation? Or be financially ready to get yourself a COVID vaccine next year? Let Zimvest Aspire keep you in check. Need low-risk investment option with attractive rates? Zimvest High Yields is your best bet. Zcrest Investment Managers Zimvest is a SEC-licensed asset management company. At Zimvest, professional asset managers with industry expertise dedicate time into preserving your wealth. Zimvest has a web platform that enables you invest in a range of investment products that offers you good returns. Visit www.zimvest.com.ng to get started. Zimvest, demystifying wealth from creation to distribution for all.
Oluwatosin Ayamfulu is the acting chief investment officer at Zimvest, and he's here on the show with us. What's that number that people can call if they've got questions and they cannot wait until next Friday?
Oh, yes. So they can call us on 0700 020 0220.
Do you want to say that one more time?
Yes, 0700 020 0220.
All right, Oluwatosin, thank you so much for your time on Hard Facts today.
Thank you.
Lagos, let's go to WhatsApp and see the comments you've dropped for us. You love WhatsApp. You really, really do. Ayato Imbo Adesina says, this vaccine case should be a challenge for a reasonable government. Instead, what they've been doing is to counter any criticism and advice giving for good governance while they live big on national funds. Obviously, this is why Africa loses value every day. We've got another message here. Sandra, did you hear the last caller? This same NCDC that tells us to contact them if we have symptoms are not picking their phone. I've always maintained. Okay, I'm going to step away from that message because I do not want to be annoyed on this hot Friday. Let's go to Twitter where we've got comments as well. Twitter is Nigeria Info FM, so leave your thoughts with us there as well. Adeyinka Shabi says that Essentially, that Redditors were screwed over by the big boys in the past when the opportunity presented itself. They just couldn't resist. They might appear to be protecting Wall Street by delisting GameStop and AMC shares from the app, but essentially it was to protect investors and avoid litigation. Redditors should put vendettas aside and choose promising undervalued stocks and make money. Adenka also says the UK chose the direction it wanted to go. Mainstream Europe has to protect its people and economy. That means restricting food, drugs, trade, even the education qualification acquired in the UK is in doubt. Adinka Shabi, thank you so much for your message. That's not much we can take on the show today, but I've loved bringing you hard facts, and I'll be back on Monday to bring you more hard facts. On Monday, we'll have a doctor talking to us about the second wave of COVID. I'll also be taking your own experiences about how you got COVID, how you survived COVID, or if you know somebody who unfortunately did not survive COVID. How is life after getting COVID? That's a conversation we'll have on Monday from 5 p.m. But at 3, let's talk about the biggest stories that will break this weekend. On Tuesday, I'll have a big shot who worked on Pfizer vaccine. His name is Dr. Onyema Ogbonna. He'll be here on Tuesday at 5, joining us from the US, talking about vaccines and why they're not this boogeyman that you seem to think that they are. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili on social media. Facebook, Sandra Ezekwesili. Twitter, S. Ezekwesili. Instagram, S. Ezekwesili. Agogo will be here next after you listen to the business news. Those were your hard facts, Lagos. Have a very good weekend.
Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili is available as a podcast on all streaming platforms. Catch this and previous episodes.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.